Hi, and welcome to episode 78, I think, of M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers podcast. This is a mostly knitting slash yarn slash spinning yarn related podcast, and I am Jamie, the dyer behind m1yarns.com. And if you're new here, welcome. If you're new here, welcome. If knitting or crafting or fiber spinning or fiber arts of any sort, crochet is your thing, then stick around, and this might be your new favorite yarny podcast. And if you're returning, welcome back. And to all, Happy New Year. If you're watching this sometime around the time I'm recording, which I think today is January 10th or 11th, somewhere in that vicinity. And I think I'll post this episode in a couple days. So let's just say we are in mid-January already. It's crazy. The new year was a good thing. Like, I was ready to be done with last year. I was ready to be done with the holidays, put all that decoration and craziness away. And actually, on the last, was it the last episode? Maybe it was like a couple episodes ago. I was talking about how, like, the winter blues kind of get to me, and I go through a little bit of a funk, and I think because, like, it's not show season for my yarn business, things are a little bit slow and mellow, and I think that's good, though, to, like, take a break, recharge the batteries, take some time to brainstorm. And literally, like, when the calendar turned to January, I was suddenly, like, out of my funk, energized, mesmerized with, like, new ideas. So with that being said, I have lots of new stuff to talk about here. So grab a drink and grab your project and let's dive right in. Okay, so I'm just going to be real cheeky and give you guys a little teaser. Since I mentioned that I was, like, re-energized with the advent of the new year, that got me thinking about advent kits, which, you know, is, like, totally a holiday season thing, but generally people pre-order it months and months in advance. And historically, I have put my advent yarn kits on sale in April. I think it works out really well for me planning wise, and I think for people in general. I don't know why. Some dyers wait till later in the year. For me, April just seems to work. So I will probably do so the same way this year. I will definitely talk about it in my newsletter and on my Instagram, which is where the two places where I'm most active. You can find links to wherever I'm active below: Instagram, Facebook, my website, Ravelry, and here. Let's see. So I am planning this year's Advent box. I had a whole different idea of what I thought I was going to do. And as it stands right now, I am like 90% sure I know exactly what I want to do for everything in the box. And it has a really awesome theme, and I really can't wait to share it. And it will be highly unique and highly special. So I'm just going to plug that there and say that as a yarn dyer, I'm really jazzed about it. Oh, what I'm also jazzed about is what I'm wearing. This is fresh off the needles. If you watched the last few episodes, you saw me talking about knitting this. This is I did block this, so I don't know why this little, like, gauge difference is happening here. But anyway, this is the Chouquettes Slipover by, I can't remember her name. I will link everything below. But this is kind of like a vest of sorts. Yeah, I would say a vest. And it's picking it up on camera more profoundly than it does in person. but there's like a slight line here. This is me really being like kind of nitpicky. I think that the average person I might come into contact with in real life while wearing this would never notice. But, you know, cameras do pick up on details more so. So you can see a little like gauge differential here. This part's in the round. This was knit flat, and I do have a tension problem when I knit flat. My purls are like extra big. I tried really hard. And then here, it happened again. So I have blocked this, like I said. I could probably block it more aggressively to try to like zhuzh out the fabric. But overall, I'm not really like that stressed about it. I mean, especially once my hair is kind of doing what my hair typically does. This yarn, I typically do a finished object video on like most of the things that I finish knitting, but I'm just not going to on this one. I've just been really tight on time lately, and like, it is what it is. So, the yarn is Hudson & West Forge, which I bought at Indian Tangled 2022. This was a limited edition colorway for that event, and it's called Honey. I used probably nearly 3 skeins for this. I'm a 38-inch bust, and you can kind of see like how it fits. The back is designed to be wider than the front, but somehow I wound up with like 8 extra stitches on the back, which in the equivalent is probably like 2.5 of these like bobbly things, which are called Trinity stitches, in case you're interested. So it's like a little bit bigger than it's supposed to be, but I actually think there's a couple errors in the pattern. I believe it was originally written in Japanese and translated. I could be wrong. That could be a big assumption on my part. And if that's true, I apologize. But I do believe I'm 99% sure I followed everything to a T, and that there's a couple errors in the pattern. So I would call the pattern advanced. It's actually probably one of the top 3 most complicated things I've ever knit. So I'm really quite proud. You cast on here, but I cast on here. You knit the front and the back separate. I think you knit down to here. Yeah, this is seed stitch, which was really fun. I love seed stitch. Then you knit this in the round. Then you knit the front and the back separate. Then you join in the round down here. And then you pick up and knit this ribbing. Anyway, it was kind of complicated. I do love it. I love the color. I love the texture. I love the fit. I'm wearing it with some high-waisted black linen pants, and love the dog hair. That's a Daisy hair. If you've been around a minute, Daisy is the dog that always kicks the tripod when I'm recording. And she is laying under the tripod as we speak. Daisy will be 11 this spring, and she is currently injured from playing rough in the yard with my other dog, Jack. This is her second leg injury in about 6 months, and I kind of suspect that she's already on pain meds for her hips. I suspect that she has either like severe degenerative arthritis now, or she has a lot of lumps, and I'm kind of worried that she has cancer. So we're just keeping an eye on her and keeping her medicated and mellow. So she's probably not going to kick at all today. But anyway, you're not here for all that. Okay, so we talked about Advent. We talked about what I'm wearing. Oh, this is exciting news. A lot of my viewers are in the Chicagoland area. And if that is you, you are in luck. My yarn a lot of my yarn will be at a trunk show at String Theory Yarn Shop in Glen Ellen, Illinois, from January 20th to February 3rd. And while my yarn is at that trunk show, I'm just going to make a lot of my yarn pages on my website just like inactive. So you'll still be able to buy my kits, my merch, which is like t-shirts, bags, mugs, all that sort of thing, and any kits, just not like single skeins, because it's just too complicated. So in preparation of that trunk show, which I am packing up and shipping off tomorrow, I thought it would be really fun to knit up some new samples and dye some new colorways. So, should we talk about new colorways first? Let's do that. All right, so I've created 3 new colorways, and while you're going to be able to not, like when this episode comes out, the yarn's not going to be available on my website because of this trunk show. But if you love any of these colorways and you really want a sweater quantity, just comment below, shoot me an email, send me a DM on Instagram. I'm super casual. And we can do like a custom order for you. All right, so let's start with the first one. This new colorway, which I actually don't think the camera is, there we go. I honestly don't think the camera is doing it justice. Let me show you. This is the 80/20 fingering weight sock yarn. This is it on mohair silk. I love how colorways look different on different bases. And I think for some reason on the camera, this is picking up more of the gray undertones. And this is making it look almost like beigey. But this new colorway is called American Steel, and it kind of started developing in my mind last fall when I dyed a colorway for last year's Advent box. Last year's Advent, the theme was the 5 elements: water, fire, wood, earth, and metal. And so I dyed a colorway for each of those elements, and then there were goodies that went along with each of those. And for the metal one, I dyed something kind of similar, like grays and rusts and whatnot. But it got me thinking about how metal is so cool, how it rusts, how it oxidizes, how there are so many different metals, from steel to gold to platinum to I don't know, just like it's actually super cool. And because I'm in Metro Detroit with the auto industry, you know, we're part of the Rust Belt, and steel is, or has been historically, like such a big part of the auto industry. And so I was thinking about metal a lot, and I knew I wanted to create something metal-ish, but also kind of leaning towards like a fun spring vibe with some neutrals. And this is what I came up with. So there's gray undertones, beige undertones, kind of like steely blue, and then there's these really pretty like rosy brown rust bits in between. Oh, it's so hard to get a good color. I'll try to insert a photo so you get more of a natural light look. It's dark outside right now, so I have a ring light, I have a lamp, I have an overhead light. The light's not great in here. Anyway, so this is American Steel. American Steel. Yes. I can dye this up on sock yarn, mohair, DK, superwash, worsted weight superwash, or DK or fingering weight non-superwash. So if you're interested in a custom order, let me know. All right, next up, also kind of leaning towards spring. This was a colorway that started to develop last year in my mind with a request from a friend. Shout out to Nadia. So this colorway is called Poppy, and it's been brewing and stewing in my mind for ages, and I finally decided let's add it to the shop. It's like a really, I don't know what to say, rusty orange. I absolutely love it. I think it's really fun for spring. And then the third colorway kind of complements that poppy and is called Spring Sunrise. Let me get the tag out the way. I don't know why that's looking really green. Oh, it's so hard to get good lighting in here. This is so annoying. This is not what it looks like. I'll insert photos because this is just frustrating me. It's looking really like it has green bits, but it doesn't. I'll insert a photo. This is Spring Sunrise. Maybe that's more realistic. I don't know. Videotaping like really specific colors is so hard. So these are new to the shop, and they are going to String Theory Yarn Shop for Trunk Show, January 20th to February 3rd. So if you're out that way, definitely go check out the shop. They are lovely and super, super lovely to work with. And so I've actually worked with Janet, the owner of String Theory, before. She organizes this like club called the Good Vibes Yarn Tour, and I created some custom colorways for her probably 3 years ago now, and I was very impressed. So big shout out to Janet and the whole crew of the Good Vibes Yarn Tour, which is 3 yarn shops all collaborating together. Very cool. So those are my new colorways. If you're interested, let me know. After the trunk show, they will be added to the shop. But meantime, so I thought I would knit up some fun shop samples to send with the trunk show, featuring what I like to call one neutral and one pop of color. And I created 2 new samples. This cowl, which after I show you, again, the colors are just, I don't think they're showing very well on video. This is the super simple colorwork cowl, I want to say, by Church Mouse Yarns, and it's featuring, it's DK, although I think the pattern's written in worsted, but I knit it in DK. This is beach sand, and it's 1x1 colorwork using beach sand and Jewels of Autumn. And I knit this up in like 3 days. I probably could have knit it in 2. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. I'll insert a photo of me wearing it. When I get this back from the trunk show, I'm going to get some fun times out of this. This is great. So I knit this, and then, so 1 ball of beach sand, 1 ball of Jewels of Autumn, and then I had enough left over to knit fingerless mitts. These are the Peppermint Patties by, I'll put it on the screen. I love how this shows off the colorway really cool. These are knit in the round, so I use 9-inch circulars. You do not helical. you do seamless jogs. I knit these before the cowl. That's right. But anyway, the point being, I got all of this out of 1 ball of beach sand, 1 ball of contrast color, the Jewels of Autumn. So great gift knitting ideas in case you're looking for something fun. But I knit these mitts. So New Year's Day, we had like a movie and TV binge veg day. And I knit these mitts entirely, start to finish, New Year's Day. Super fun. I had like a little knitting marathon. So these samples are going to String Theory along with the yarn. Okay, the 2 other things that I want to talk about real quick are both whips. And one is like a half FO, finished object, and a half whip. I am in the process of designing a hot water bottle cover, and I don't think Americans use hot water bottles in the bed like Europeans do, but I grew up, my mom is English, I grew up with one of these in the bed every night, typically like in the winter only, not really in the summer. But if I was sick, I would get one. If you get cramps, these are nice, you know. So you get the hot water bottle, and then I made a woolly cover. Now, there are a lot of patterns for these on Ravelry. I looked at the majority of them and found issue with all of them. None of them were quite what I thought I wanted. And so I was like, you know what, I'll just design my own. So this was my prototype. This was just stash yarn, 2 strands held together. This was my first go at it. I have decided, because I have used my prototype, that I'm going to add, I have a snap here and here. I'm going to add a 3rd snap because I don't really like that flap. And I have a couple other tweaks I'm going to make on this design, but I decided to design my own cover. And so that, now that I have like the first prototype knit up, now I'm knitting the second go round. And this time I'm using, this time I'm using my own hand spun yarn. And this is the first time I've knit with my own hand spun yarn, and it is lovely. I haven't gotten very far. I just cast this on yesterday. So here's the yarn. So the pattern, I'm hoping, will be released sometime this month. We shall see. But that's that. So, absolutely love a nice woolly. The thing with this is that if you have woolly wool that like you wouldn't want to wear, like if you have sensitive skin like me, a woolly cover for your water bottle is fine, because it's not like, you know, it's going to be rubbing up next to your bare skin at night, like up here. Maybe your bare feet, but I think it feels really good. So that's that. Okay, the last project I want to talk about is, if you watched an episode or 2 ago, I talked about knitting a baby gift for my friend Nadia. Nadia, if you're watching, goodbye, get out of here. I had initially knit baby booties as a gift for my friend who's expecting, and the baby booty did not go well. And so I thought to myself, I'll knit a hat instead. And a couple of you commented that, yes, much better baby gift choice. So I cast on the Drops. I don't even think it has like a very memorable name. I'll insert it on the screen and I'll have it below. But it's a free pattern by Drops. And I've only knit this like for 2 days. The yarn is super busy, but I actually kind of like that because it makes a classic design a little bit more funky. I know some people prefer cables with like solid yarn. But I think this is really fun. She doesn't know the gender of the baby. And so I thought that this was like a perfect kind of classically gender neutral colorway. But yeah, I should be able to finish this hat tonight. So I'm excited. This was really fun to knit. Oh, and if you, well, the pattern I think is originally written in, where is Drops? They're not from Norway. Maybe they are. Anyway, not written in English and not written for American knitters. It's written in that style where they presume that you know a lot of stuff. So I would say in that sense, the pattern reading element is a little bit more advanced, but the knitting itself is very simple. Just the purls, one cable this way, one cable that way, and a nice little column, round and round. I think I'm just about at the point of doing some decreases, so that's where we're at. But I'm excited for that gift knit. And with that, I think that's all I have for you. I am about, as soon as I finish the hot water bottle cover and the hat, I am going to cast on my Varma cardigan, which I've been wanting to knit since last March. And I'm super excited. I have the yarn ready to go. It's steeked, which I love. If you've never steeked, highly recommend. I'm here to coach you if you have questions. I've done it several times now. 10 out of 10. Love. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I'm going to hurry up and wrap this up so I can edit it and then go knit and be done. So, I hope you all are having a great day or weekend or whenever you're watching this. And comment below what you're knitting. All right, guys, thanks for joining me for another episode. If you enjoyed this, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing if you don't already. The thumbs up really helps with the YouTube algorithm, which I so appreciate. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.